My aloof roommate has a sleepwalking disorder. Every night, he climbs into my bed to hug and kiss me. It's driving me crazy, but a part of me kind of enjoys it. Until one day, I stumbled upon my roommate's physical exam report. It said he was healthy enough to take down a bull. Wait, then what the hell is he doing climbing into my bed every night? When I felt the bed curtain being lifted, I instinctively shifted further in. I couldn't even be bothered to open my eyes. But then a pair of arms wrapped around me from behind, a scorching chest pressed against my back, and someone started pecking at the nape of my neck. Annoyed, I jabbed backward with my elbow and hissed, "Lucas, sleepwalk all you want, but can you please stop gnawing on my neck? Sometimes I feel like a human lollipop." Lucas didn't stop, his hand continuing to caress my waist. Soon, the pecking on my neck moved to my cheek. His hot breath fanned across my face, making my scalp tingle. This was just my luck. Who would have thought that Lucas Sterling, the cold and aloof campus god who could be the poster boy for our entire university town, was secretly a sleepwalker and a shameless scoundrel. Every single night, without fail, he'd climb into my bed, hugging and kissing me, taking all sorts of liberties. Then, around dawn, he'd suddenly sit up and robotically return to his own bed to continue sleeping, like a machine. When he woke up, he'd have no memory of what he'd done the night before. I always wanted to slap him awake so he could see the kind of crap he was pulling. But then I'd remember that forcefully waking a sleepwalker can cause brain damage. I was afraid he'd turn into a babbling idiot, and I'd be stuck taking care of him for the rest of his life. So I gritted my teeth and endured it. It's not that I hadn't thought about telling him during the day that he was copping a feel while sleepwalking. It's just that every time I brought it up, Lucas would shoot me that cool, detached glance of his. "Sleepwalking? Impossible. Do you have proof?" He'd look at me as if I were slandering him. I couldn't exactly set up a camera every night to film the whole X-rated process, could I? The footage would have to be so heavily censored it'd be pointless. What about my reputation? How was I supposed to find a girlfriend in the future? My dignity as a straight man would be in tatters. So I was forced to give up and couldn't be bothered to communicate with him about it anymore. We went on being distant roommates, and the topic was never raised again. As long as I could protect my first kiss and my boxers, I figured I could just consider the rest a selfless sacrifice. Just as I was silently mourning my lost virtue, someone suddenly kissed me on the lips. Smack! The sound was exceptionally loud and intimate in the quiet dorm room. What? I was wide awake in an instant. I stared in disbelief at Lucas, whose eyes were half closed, his expression blank. "You kissed me. You freaking stole a kiss from me. Damn it, kissing my cheek was one thing, but you're trying to take my first kiss too? Get off me." He didn't get off, nor did he answer. He even lowered his head as if to kiss me again. I was fuming and flustered, desperately trying to push him away. But Lucas was a good half a head taller than me and had a bigger build. While he was always out playing sports, I was usually cooped up in the dorm. The difference in our strength was huge. I couldn't budge him at all. Instead, he mercilessly pinned both of my hands with his own, his grip strong and unyielding. I panicked even more. Afraid of waking our other roommates, I could only hiss at him in the lowest possible voice. "Lucas, you're so dead. Let go of me if you try anything else. I'm kicking you off this bed to wake you up. Do you hear me? Want to kiss?" He suddenly mumbled, his breath searing hot. I wanted to cry. "Kiss my ass, snap out of it. I'm straight, you're straight. If we kiss, it's over for both of us." But Lucas just stared at me blankly, incredibly stubborn. Want to kiss? I was utterly defeated. If I didn't let him have his way, I wouldn't get a wink of sleep tonight. Thinking about my full schedule of classes the next day, I sighed in resignation. "Fine, kiss me. Make it quick and then go to sleep. Hey, no tongue." Lucas's eyelashes fluttered. Then he lowered his head and kissed me. 3 the next morning, my roommate, Big B, looked at my slightly swollen lips with concern. "Worry, are you feeling okay? Your lips are all red and swollen." I shot a glance at a certain someone who was putting on his shoes and sneered. "Got bitten by a dog. What, do you need to get a rabies shot?" "No need. I'll just bite back next time." I patted his shoulder, not offering any further explanation, because I had no idea how to explain to him that I'd been pinned down and kissed for half the night. I told him no tongue, but the mutt wouldn't listen. And just like that, my first kiss was gone. I rubbed my face, which felt terrifyingly hot, and made a silent vow. Tonight, if I don't bite that dog Lucas to death, I'll change my last name, but ideals are lofty, and reality is harsh. The weather suddenly turned, and the temperature plummeted that morning. I, who had only worn a sweatshirt to class, was shivering uncontrollably. Achoo, I sniffled, feeling increasingly dizzy. It was all Lucas's fault. He made me blush and my heart race every night so I couldn't sleep well. My immune system must have taken a hit. Great, I was catching a cold. Just as I was silently grumbling, a jacket was suddenly held out to me. It was a black shell jacket from a high-end brand with a 4-figure price tag. A world away from the shoddy $19.99 with free shipping jacket I got from Amazon. I looked up, dazed. The person offering the jacket was, surprisingly, Lucas. "For Warren, if you're cold, put this on." I looked at Lucas, then at the jacket. I decisively took it and put it on. It would be a waste not to. He was the one causing all this trouble at night. It was only right for him to atone for it. But the jacket still held his clean, crisp scent, the exact same one that filled my senses every night. It made me blush for no reason, my throat feeling dry and itchy. Lucas, thanks, don't mention it." Lucas replied coolly, as if he had just done something trivial. Except the new smart watch on his wrist kept beeping nonstop. Beep, beep, beep. He didn't wear it at night, which was fine, but during the day, whenever I got close, I could always hear that beeping alarm. I sometimes suspected Lucas might have some kind of heart condition, like premature beats or an arrhythmia. Sensing my gaze on his watch, Lucas casually covered it with his other hand. I pouted. What a jerk. Who was he trying to fool? No matter how cold he acted during the day, didn't he still show up in my bed right on schedule to mess with me? But that night, Lucas didn't come to my bed. I blankly lifted my bed curtain and looked towards his bunk. It was dark inside his curtains. By all accounts, he should have been asleep, but it was already midnight. Big B was already snoring up a storm, so why wasn't Lucas in my bed yet? Did he go to bed late so he didn't sleepwalk? Utterly confused, I lay back down. It was for the best that he didn't come. I wasn't feeling well tonight and would be glad to get a peaceful night's sleep, so I happily hugged my blanket and turned over. But I was still awake at 2 a.m., tossing and turning, growing more and more agitated. I felt like something was missing. Was Big B's snoring not loud enough? Or was Kyle's teeth grinding not prominent enough? Finally, I shot up, gritting my teeth as I stared at Lucas's bunk. Damn it, I'd gotten used to this mutt taking advantage of me. One night without him and I couldn't adjust. My whole body was uncomfortable, like a cat deprived of its catnip. This was a disaster. I thrashed my fists at the air in a fit of impotent rage for a while before finally resigning myself to my fate. Damn it. If he won't come to me, I'll just go to him, won't I? 5. Just as I was sniffling and trying to come up with an excuse to go to Lucas's bed, I heard someone climbing my bed ladder. The movements were very light. Lifting my head, I saw a familiar figure pulling back my curtain. Broad shoulders, narrow waist, chiseled features. I unconsciously let out a sigh of relief and voluntarily made some space, but my words were a quiet complaint. "Lucas, you're so annoying. Why are you here again?" As usual, Lucas didn't respond. He simply lay down beside me. Then with a hook of his arm, he pulled me in. I was in his embrace again. Probably because he was athletic, his body was warm and toasty. It felt incredibly comfortable. I yawned against his neck, then deliberately nudged his chin with my forehead, mumbling threats. "Don't move, you hear me? I'm sick tonight, so you can't kiss me. If you try any of that crap from last night, I'll bite you to death. Stay away from me. Don't you're afraid of catching my cold if you hold me this close. If you get sick, I won't be able to explain it tomorrow." Lucas looked down, staring at me intently. The weather was gloomy today, and even the moonlight was faint. It was pitch black inside the curtained bed. I couldn't quite make out the expression on his face. Anyway, besides being blank and dazed, he probably didn't have any other expression. I sneezed again and didn't pay much more attention to the sleepwalker. I closed my eyes, drowsy and ready for sleep. This time I didn't feel like anything was missing. Under the effects of being sick, I quickly fell into a deep sleep. Content. I vaguely remember being woken up by my own coughing, and it felt like someone was gently patting my back. They even handed me a cup of warm water. After I drank it, I was held even tighter. In my sleepy haze, the warmth of his chest was intoxicating, and even the kisses that landed on my face were uncharacteristically gentle. My eyelids grew heavier. I let out a soft whimper and fell completely back to sleep. My dreams were full of a warmth I desperately craved. 6. When I woke up the next day, Lucas was, as usual, no longer in my bed, but I felt like my pillow still carried the scent of his shampoo. I couldn't help but take a sniff. It smelled nice. I'm so shameless now, secretly sniffing his scent, like some kind of perverted creep. If a homophobe like Lucas knew, his face would probably turn as black as the bottom of a pot. Rubbing my face, I lifted a corner of the bed curtain and cautiously peeked at him. When we had morning classes, he always got up very early. After quietly showering, he would sit and read or play on his phone for a bit before heading to class. He had the wealth and status to be as wild as he wanted, yet he was always disciplined and polite. Right now, he was sitting at his desk, coughing quietly while drinking hot water. I put on my clothes, climbed down from my bunk, and after a moment of hesitation, called out to him, "Lucas, Lucas lifted his eyes to look at me, his gaze cool and indifferent. The watch on his wrist suddenly started beeping. It was quite alarming. "What's up?" I had wanted to ask if he'd caught my cold, but I swallowed the words back and said hesitantly, "Are you not feeling well?" Lucas replied, "Just a bit of a cold from the temperature drop." "No, I mean, do you have some kind of heart condition, like premature beats or something? Because I always hear your watch beeping." He paused, then let out a soft cough. "Did it bother you?" He immediately looked down and started fiddling with the settings on his watch. The beeping stopped. Throughout the exchange, his expression was calm and composed, showing no sign of anything unusual. Even his casual posture looked like some A-list celebrity posing for a photo shoot. "Sorry, it won't go off like that again." "Okay, good." I pressed my lips together, gave a dry laugh, and turned to wash up. A bad heart during the day and a sleepwalking scoundrel at night. Lucas sure had a lot of issues. After distractedly finishing my morning routine, I grabbed my books and headed to our early morning English class with Big B. It was infuriating. Because Lucas got a perfect score on his college entrance English exam, the professor had exempted him from the course. So he didn't have to attend the early morning sessions or the regular English classes. We were all products of the same 9 years of compulsory education, so why was the gap so huge? This injustice made me burn with envy and resentment every time Big B and I had to drag ourselves out of bed for this godforsaken class. But today, as soon as I mentioned Lucas, Big B strangely stopped in his tracks. He glanced at me, then glanced at me again. He looked like he wanted to say something, like a weasel testing the waters before snatching a chicken. I asked, puzzled, "What's wrong? Do I owe you money?" Big B hissed. "No, it's just. You mentioned Lucas, and I think I vaguely saw him get into your bed last night." Well, I thought he must have seen Lucas sleepwalking and felt a bit awkward, unsure how to explain. It was Lucas's private business, after all, and not my place to say much. But Big B continued, "I thought I was just sleepy and seeing things, so I didn't pay it any mind. But then a little later, I saw him get out of bed, pour a glass of hot water, and climb back into your bed. And then, I think I heard him gently coaxing you to drink the water. He sounded really gentle." A look of horror crossed my face. I was in disbelief. "What did you just say? Lucas took care of me last night?" Big B nodded hesitantly. "I think so, but I'm not sure. I was so tired, maybe I was just seeing things." I froze on the spot, my mind a torrent of what the hell. If what Big B said was true, pouring water, coaxing someone. Would a sleepwalking Lucas do something like that? The answer was no. Which meant Lucas probably wasn't sleepwalking last night. 7. I don't get it. I really don't get it. What is Lucas trying to pull? Is he messing with me? Bullying me? He can't possibly have a crush on me, right? Is that why he's playing this twisted game? But I'm a guy and he's a guy too. A homophobic one at that. I instinctively covered my behind, my face shifting through several shades as I had the sudden urge to storm back to the dorm and beat him up. No, violence is bad. Maybe I should just slip some laxatives into his drink, let him spend the night on the toilet, sprinting to the finish line. But after mulling it over, I chose the cowardly option, to be angry but passively. I couldn't help it. His dad was a regular in the business news, while my family registry had only my name on it. I had no one to rely on. I couldn't win this fight, and I didn't want to bring more trouble upon myself. First things first, though, I had to confirm whether he was really sleepwalking or not. After class, I returned to the dorm, my mind heavy with worry. As I walked in, I saw Lucas was still sitting there. Hearing my footsteps, he looked straight at me. His eyes were dark and deep, his features sharp and conveying a cool indifference. In the past, if he looked at me like that, I would have assumed I'd done something to offend him. Now when he looked at me like that, I just clamped my butt cheeks together and scurried up to my bed. I hid like that until evening. After lights out, the dorm was pitch black. Big B's snores started up as usual, and I lay in bed playing on my phone. It wasn't long before my bed started to shake gently, as usual. Lucas was here again. AT expertly climbed into bed and lay down behind me. He hugged me, nuzzling my neck, his hot breath making my ears burn. Annoying and clingy, his presence was overwhelming. But this time, I didn't jab him with my elbow. Instead, I slowly turned to face him. Lucas still had that half-lidded, blank, and dazed expression. No matter how I looked at it, it didn't seem like an act. "Lucas," I called his name softly. He showed no reaction. Hesitating for a moment, I reached out and pinched his cheek hard. Then I quickly snatched my hand back, afraid he would hit me. But Lucas didn't move, didn't cry out in pain. He didn't even frown. I balled my fist and feigned a punch. But even as my fist neared his face, his eyelids didn't reflexively shut. He just kept mechanically and abnormally nuzzling and kissing me. His symptoms were identical to those of a sleepwalker. I sheepishly lowered my hand. After a moment's hesitation, I leaned in and pecked his cheek. No reaction from Lucas. Fine, no guts, no glory, time for the big guns. I steeled myself, leaned in, and kissed him on the lips, shamelessly whispering sweet nothings. Lucas, I like you. I really, really like you. It would be so great if you were awake, then I could be your boyfriend. After speaking, I carefully observed his expression. If he had designs on me, this kind of move should make him ecstatic, right? But I waited for a long time, and Lucas remained just as wooden, his eyelids half closed. In the end, after all my probing, he showed no reaction to any of my provocations or words. He was, without a doubt, in a deep state of sleepwalking. I fell silent, phone in hand. I had tried every method I could find online, and Lucas fit the profile of a sleepwalker perfectly. It seemed I was just delirious from my cold last night, and Big B had been seeing things too. Why would a proud, homophobic golden boy like Lucas use sleepwalking as an excuse to get handsy with me, another guy? Impossible, absolutely impossible. I let out a huge sigh of relief and happily snuggled into his embrace with a yawn. I completely failed to notice the fleeting, dark amusement that flashed in the boy's half-lidded eyes. As the sleepwalking incidents became more frequent, my relationship with Lucas in the dorm became a bit strange. We went from being casual acquaintances to me feeling unilaterally awkward and a little guilty. I even started taking out my nightly frustrations on him during the day, but Lucas never got annoyed or cold. His temper was as good as it was when he was sleepwalking. The most serious part was that a few times in class, when Lucas sat next to me, I found myself subconsciously leaning towards him. When I realized what I was doing, I broke out in a cold sweat, awkwardly scurried away, and didn't dare to meet his eyes. But in private, he still sleepwalked into my bed every night. And I went from being uncomfortable to accustomed to dependent. Eventually, if he was even a little late, I'd have trouble falling asleep. He'd still take liberties. Every night, he'd leave me red-faced and flustered, and several times I had to hastily push him away and flee to the bathroom. I'm a hot-blooded young man. Having a reaction is normal, but this wasn't right. This was seriously not right. He's a guy, and I'm a guy. How could I have a physical reaction to another guy? How could I become dependent on another guy? I'm a university student, not an idiot. I knew what this dependency meant. I tried to fight this feeling of my sexuality spinning out of control. Then, a few days later, Lucas was chosen to represent our department in a competition. It was some kind of basketball tournament, and he wouldn't be back in the dorm for a few days. As soon as I heard the news, I forgot all about what was right or wrong and was consumed by anxiety. If he was gone, how was I going to sleep at night? This anxiety made me distracted in class all day. When I listlessly returned to the dorm, I found a physical exam report on my desk. Big B, did you put this on my desk? Bari, engrossed in his game, took a second to reply. Oh crap, that's Lucas's medical report for the competition. He's not coming back today because of training, so when he saw me, he asked me to bring it back. I was in a hurry to play and must have put it on the wrong desk. Can you put it on his desk for me? Oh, a medical exam just for a competition. What a hassle. I didn't ask any more questions and picked it up to move it to Lucas's desk. But on a whim, I casually flipped it open and glanced at it. 185 cm, 82 kg, no history of illness, no family history of sudden death. Liver function normal, kidney function normal. I had reservations about the kidney function. I figured a guy who was this, forward. Even while sleepwalking must have double the kidney power. Heart normal too. Then why did I always hear his watch beeping? It wasn't a heart condition. Bored, I flipped further back and saw the last section. Psychiatric history and psychological condition. They check for this in athletes now. Are they afraid someone will have a breakdown during a game? I chuckled. My eyes moved down the page. The results for the psychological condition section were long, all indicating normal. But one line made me freeze on the spot, a chill running down my spine. No abnormal symptoms such as sleepwalking. 10 I lay in bed, fuming and mortified. I was angry that Lucas had been lying to me. He wasn't sleepwalking. He was perfectly fine, terrifyingly so. I was mortified that he had used this excuse to take advantage of me to feel me up. All the secrets I had whispered to him at night, the little tantrums I threw, the way he made me blush, the way his hands softened my resolve. In my gradually changing sexuality, he had probably seen all of it happen. I scrubbed my face hard, trying to calm down, but the tips of my ears only grew hotter. I had always thought Lucas was a straight-up homophobe. On the first day of orientation, he drove everyone wild with a face that was prime real estate in the gay scene. It wasn't long before a handsome upperclassman from the arts department confessed to him, showering him with attention and even following him back to our dorm to harass him. The look of disgust and impatience on Lucas's face was still seared into my memory, so he was actually gay. He was just very good at hiding it, and he had set his sights on me a long time ago. plotting and scheming, using sleepwalking to get to me. That smart watch of his was always beeping not because of a bad heart, but because he was lusting after me. He was turned on, he was a pervert, he was shameless. You dog. The more I thought about it, the angrier and more humiliated I felt. I immediately opened my chat with Lucas and furiously sent an emoji. Jpg. The guy who was supposed to be at training replied instantly, "What's wrong?" I furiously typed out a long paragraph insulting and condemning him, but I calmed down right before hitting send. Wait, since he's playing mind games with me, bullying me, I can't just let it go. But exposing him now would be no fun. I had to make him lose his composure and blow his own cover. Then, I could stand on the moral high ground, look down on him, and seize control of the situation. I painstakingly deleted the long paragraph, and instead replied politely, "Nothing, good luck with the competition, thanks." I didn't reply. He couldn't help but start a new topic. "Warren, why are you still awake?" I replied deliberately, "Say I can't sleep tonight. When are you coming back?" I don't mean anything by it, I just don't know if I should leave the door unlocked for you. Probably not coming back. After training tonight, we're going straight to the neighboring city for the competition tomorrow. All right, well, good luck then. After a moment, he added, "Hey, I'll try to get back as soon as I can." 11 Lucas was away for the competition for 3 days. For 3 days, I texted him every day to cheer him on, then deliberately and clumsily asked when he was coming back. Lucas misunderstood, thinking I couldn't sleep without him, and got all anxious. But his texts remained cool and proper. I was having the time of my life. I was just waiting for him to come back so I could get my revenge. Soon, Lucas finished his competition and returned to the university. It happened to be the first day of the New Year's holiday. Big B and Kyle were from the city, so they went home for the break. I had nowhere to go, so I was sleeping alone in the dorm. In a sleepy daze, I felt someone return. He didn't turn on the lights, quietly unpacking his things before taking a shower. Soon, the sound of water from the bathroom stopped, and Lucas climbed into his own bed. I turned over, waiting for a certain someone to arrive. Around midnight, my bed curtain was lifted right on schedule. Lucas wrapped his arms around me, incessantly pecking at the back of my neck. Kisses? I turned to face him, deliberately pressing myself against him, my voice soft. "You're finally back. I missed you so much." The force of his kisses on my cheek intensified. Good, he's excited. He's taken the bait. I started to push it further, intentionally teasing him. "Lucas, I want to touch you. You're always the one to initiate, but today I want to be the one. If you don't say anything, I'll take that as a yes." I deliberately traced his brow bone with my finger, then the tip of his nose, his chin, his Adam's apple, and then lower. I felt his muscles tense up from the stimulation before he quickly forced them to relax. A dead giveaway. In the faint light from outside the curtain, I could see his eyes were red from holding back. Serves him right. 12 I'm switching dorms next semester to get away from you. I hope your sleepwalking gets better. You shouldn't just climb into any roommate's bed. Actually, it's best if you stop sleepwalking altogether. I don't know what I feel for you right now. I just feel like something's not right with me. What do? I think I don't like girls anymore. I think I've fallen for a guy. You're so annoying. It's all your fault for leading me astray, but I kind of like this feeling of being needed. But the waking you is so cold and homophobic. I don't know how to explain it to you. Sigh. Anyway, you can't hear what I'm saying right now, so forget it. I've been thinking. I'm not good enough for you, and you probably don't feel that way about me. Lucas, if you liked me, you would have confessed when you were awake, but you didn't, so I guess this sleepwalking thing was just an accident. I had started off just acting, putting on a show. But as I continued, my emotions got the better of me. A sour feeling crept into my heart, and my mood deflated. My words became jumbled and nonsensical. All my true feelings came pouring out. It was true, I wasn't even sure if he liked me. It could just be a whim or a prank. And even if he did like me, who knew how long this special kind of affection would last? Just because he came to my bed every night, I had developed an inappropriate dependency and habit. It was pretty shameless. To be this starved for affection. Lucas, tomorrow I'm going to tell you the truth about your sleepwalking. Let's just part on good terms. No. The boy who had been playing dumb suddenly ground out the word through clenched teeth, his eyes startlingly clear. He wasn't pretending anymore. "Warren, I don't want to part on good terms with you. The sleepwalking wasn't an accident, it was premeditated. I'm sorry, I like you." 13 Lucas had blown his own cover. Even though I was prepared for it, I still froze. It felt like a ripe apple had finally fallen from the tree and landed right on my head. It left me stunned and speechless for a long moment. Seeing no reaction from me, Lucas propped himself up nervously, confessing to me earnestly and urgently. He said he was into guys. He just hated the constant harassment from other men and hadn't found anyone he liked, so he had always pretended to be a straight homophobe. He never expected to fall for me. a straight guy, the moment he stepped into the university dorm, so he could only come up with the devious plan of faking a sleepwalking disorder to get close to me. Since you don't reject me, can you give me a chance to pursue you? Lucas stared at me intently. How should I put it? The normally cold and reserved campus god was now humbly kneeling on my bed, asking me to give him a chance. It was pretty satisfying. I blinked, feigning composure. I'll think about it. Thinking about it wasn't a rejection. Lucas's eyes instantly lit up. From that day on, he stopped sleepwalking. I returned to a normal life of sleeping by myself. Strangely, I didn't find it hard to adjust, because the time we spent together during the day increased exponentially. We ate together, went to class together. I'd watch him play basketball and bring him water. We'd also go to movies together. If someone confessed to him, he would immediately reject them and then turn to me to explain. His cool, handsome eyes were always on me, making me feel deeply loved. It actually felt pretty good. So good that I thought I would soon be starting a special and sweet campus romance with this golden boy. Until one day, after finishing an exam, I was about to leave campus to look for a good part-time job for the winter break. The first semester was almost over. Although I had various scholarships, I still had to work hard to earn money. Other students had parents who gave them a monthly allowance. I didn't. I had to support myself. I was open about my financial situation, but it still made me feel a bit insecure. I had just walked out of the school gates when someone stopped me. A middle-aged woman with a thick regional accent excitedly grabbed my arm. "Worry, why haven't you been answering your aunt's calls? Your aunt missed you so much. I was so worried you weren't eating or dressing well in this big city." 14. I immediately pulled my arm away, my face cold. I've already made it clear that I'm relinquishing my inheritance rights to my grandfather's house. What else do you want from me? My Aunt Brenda gave a fake smile and patted me. What kind of talk is that? I'm the only family you have left. Of course I have to care about you. Don't talk about houses. It's so hurtful to our relationship. I didn't reply, just looked at her impatiently. When my parents were alive, my aunt's family and mine were on decent terms, visiting each other during holidays. But after my parents died in an accident, my grandfather wanted to raise me, but my aunt was subtly and openly against it. In the end, she only reluctantly agreed because of my grandfather's insistence. She had my household registration transferred to her home so I could continue my education. But she would pinch every penny when my grandfather spent any money on me, and her son used to bully me. I still vividly remember her sharp, spiteful face. A few years later, my grandfather fell gravely ill. Before he passed, he wanted to leave his house to me, but my aunt snatched it away. I was just a child, and I was sent to an orphanage where I lived on my own. When I came of age, in order to transfer my household registration out of her house, I was forced to give up my inheritance rights to my grandfather's house and cut off all contact with her family. I worked summer jobs to save enough for university tuition. Only I knew the hardships I had endured. It had been a long time since I'd felt what it was like to be cherished and cared for. Seeing my silence, my aunt continued with her hypocritical smile, as if nothing was wrong. "Look at you, all high and mighty after going to university. You don't even recognize your own family. If there's nothing else, I'm going to work." I couldn't be bothered to talk to her anymore. I turned to leave, which finally made her anxious. She quickly said, "Actually, your aunt came here today to discuss something with you. Your cousin, Gary, is getting married soon, and the bride's family is asking for a $30,000 bride price. I don't have it. Can you give me some money?" I laughed. $30,000 isn't a lot. The bride's family isn't asking for much. You should be able to afford it. Besides, do I look like I have any money? Aunt Brenda chuckled. "Isn't your parents' death compensation still there?" My face turned completely cold. 15. The compensation has been held up and hasn't come through. I don't have any money. I have to go. I turned to leave. Seeing that I wasn't giving her any face, my aunt got desperate. She grabbed my arm again, her face contorted in a snarl as she shouted, "I raised you since you were little, gave you food and clothes, and now you won't even give me a little money when I ask Warren. Has your conscience been eaten by a dog?" Her years of farm work had made her strong, and her nails dug into my arm. The commotion drew curious glances from other students. My aunt then threw herself to the ground and started wailing. "He's hitting me. A university student is hitting me. I'm calling the police. There's no law and order anymore." I quickly grabbed Lucas's arm, trying to pull him back. Getting entangled with my aunt would be a disaster. "Lucas, you should go." The boy looked down at the nail marks on my arm. His voice was light, but his expression was serious. "Don't be afraid. Warren, I'll protect you." 16. When the police arrived and heard the full story, they immediately reprimanded my aunt. They told her not to harass me anymore. She left in a huff, I knew she would definitely be back, trying to scheme her way into getting my money, but right now I couldn't worry about her. Because Lucas had been by my side the entire time this was being resolved. He had heard all of my shameful history. I didn't dare to look at the mix of emotions in his eyes as I dejectedly walked back to the dorm. Seeing my low spirits, Lucas wanted to say something but didn't know how, so he just quietly followed me. What would he think of me? Would he pity me? The person he liked was actually a pathetic case, with no redeeming qualities and a ton of baggage. Protect me? Would he really protect me? Knowing Lucas's character, he always followed through on his word, but I still felt incredibly agitated, consumed by internal turmoil. My loathing for my aunt and her family had reached its peak. No, I had to deal with my aunt first, or she would become a huge problem between me and Lucas. 17, before I could come up with a plan, my aunt called me the next day, her voice full of smug satisfaction. She had heard that the urban village area where my grandfather's house was located was about to be designated for demolition. Given the property values in that area, the compensation would be astronomical. And I, the ungrateful wretch, wouldn't get a single cent. She declared that she wanted nothing more to do with me for the rest of our lives. I listened calmly and hung up. Fine. With the demolition money, my aunt's family would want even less to do with me. They would probably even deliberately avoid me, afraid I'd try to fight for a share of the inheritance. That was exactly what I wanted. So, in order to get more money, my aunt's family used all their savings to add several more floors to the old house. That way, calculated by square meter, the demolition compensation would be several times larger. My aunt's family was overjoyed. With the extra floors built, they happily waited for the demolition notice and the payout. Seeing how smug they were, the neighbors immediately followed suit. But after waiting for a long time, no demolition notice ever came. Someone went to inquire and found out that there were never any demolition plans in the first place. My aunt was dumbfounded. The neighbors were dumbfounded. And then, the whole neighborhood erupted. I happened to be passing through my old hometown once and saw my aunt arguing and fighting with a neighbor who was screaming for my aunt's family to compensate her. The engagement my cousin had arranged was also called off. The illegally added floors were ordered to be torn down. In the end, it was a complete mess. I remained unscathed. Looking at Lucas, who had just bought me a cup of bubble tea, I couldn't help but ask, "Was it you who spread the rumor about the demolition at my aunt's place?" Lucas leaned in and took a sip from my straw. His voice was muffled. "I have no idea. How would I have that kind of power? Is that so?" I wasn't sure, but I didn't press him. Instead, I walked alongside him back towards the campus. "No class this afternoon. Want to go see a movie?" A date. Lucas stopped in his tracks. I looked down and took a sip from the same straw he had used, then lightly kicked his shin. "Yeah, a date. You in? If not, whatever, I'll ask someone else." Lucas's Adam's apple bobbed. His eyes lit up like a spring morning, as fresh as the new buds on the roadside plants. "I'm in. I'd love to." Lucas and I started dating in secret. After all, a same-sex relationship is still a niche thing, and I didn't want people to gossip. He resumed his habit of climbing into my bed every night. Except now, instead of pretending to sleepwalk, he was wide awake. I was completely immersed in the sweetness of it all. One time, he came back from basketball practice, and I peeked my head out from my bed curtain to greet him. "What took you so long?" The coach wanted to talk to me about something. While Big B and the others weren't looking, he pressed against my neck and gave me a searing kiss. "One kiss. Let's get a room tonight." I nodded shyly. Lucas caressed my face, then returned to his desk, satisfied, and started searching for something. "Hey Bari, where's my physical exam report? The one I asked you to bring back last time." "Oh, that one. I put it on the wrong desk." "It's on Worry's." Then Big B turned and asked me, "Worry, didn't I ask you to put it on Lucas's desk for him? Did you put it there after you looked at it?" As soon as he said that, Lucas's entire body went rigid. He whipped his head around to look at me, a guilty expression on my face and a smirk played on his lips. "Warren, so you saw it that day?" I stammered. I just glanced at it, and I put it there for you after I was done." "Look for it carefully." Lucas smiled, his eyes dark and filled with a tangible heat. "It's okay, no rush. Something else is more important right now. Get out of bed, put on your shoes." "It's time to go." I struggled, my voice barely a whisper. "Lucas, it's still light out. Then we have plenty of time." Tears streamed down my face. "He's not human, he's a monster, end of story."